And our lobby host just crashed, so we get to wait for a new lobby to be up. We'll be starting sometime soon, I promise. Well, we are finally getting started, and there we go, it's popped up. Welcome along to Ero, round, what are we on? 7? We're here in Austria, and it's a very fun weekend with a one-shot quali session, followed by a 50% sprint, and then a 50% race. Nobody's really had much time to apply their setups for the one-shot quali, but I think we don't use Park Ferme anyway, so that might not matter too much as we'll be going into a sprint. So, anyway, we get to try and call some action in a one-shot quali, which is never really fun. And it looks like Brandon Clark didn't take turn 1 very well, so we'll hop on over to Holmes in the Haas. The Haas car is going pretty well right now. Holmes taking P1, and we've already got one person retired. That would be Dabeck in the Aston Martin. So Holmes keeping first place. Oh, Carlos Torres just beating him out down the back straight on the run to turn 4. Now it's a Haas 2-3 with the second Haas being Daniel in that second Haas there. Panos doing well in P4 as well. Haas is switching positions. The Red Bulls running... Ooh, I was going to say they're running like 6th and 8th right there, but Givano making up plenty of positions at the end of Sector 2 through 6 and 7. Torres still holding the lead now. Out of nowhere came Julian Peters taking away P3 from the second Haas of Harrison Holmes, who has retired from the session, so he is out of qualifying. That's going to take away that Haas 2-3 that we saw, but Carlos Torres taking pole position in the one-shot quali with a time that I didn't get to see. It was a 0.8, but I don't know what the second was. We will get to see that in just a moment. There we go. Torres on pole by 40 thousandths of a second. A 1:3.850 is our pole time, and then the Haas of Daniel in P2. Julian Peters in 3rd, Givano 4th. Let's see, Ville Pioinen is 5th, Panos in 6th, Rajawel 7th, and 8th going to Christian in the Williams. Auto P9 for Mercedes. Rounding out the top 10 is Kalle Pulkkinen. Wrightson in 11th, Matthew Bassett in P12. Being split is the two McLarens by Brandon Clark, Gaillard in 14th, and then the two people that did not set a time, P15 going to Dabeck, and 16th going to Harrison Holmes. Okay, now we get to go and do a sprint. That was the best qualifying I've ever been able to call, because it was a one-shot. Oh, it's really raining. Oh, wow. I think, is this going to be full wets? It looks like it is coming down very, very heavily. So, like I said, Park Ferme, I do believe, is off in this league for some reason. So we will have everyone on what setups anyway, which is a little lame, but that's okay. We're still going to see a lot of action. We know Austria never disappoints, and the rain just makes it that much more interesting. So, everyone applying some setup changes and some strategies. We will be underway for the sprint race here in Ero. Here we go then. We are on the grid for the sprint race. 5 lights are on. And they were held for a little bit, but we are underway. It's a bit of a shaky start from everyone up at the front. Mercedes going very deep into the pit wall there. But Carlos Torres keeping the lead from the Haas of Daniel in P2 and Julian Peters in 3rd. Looks like everyone's gotten around the first corner relatively nicely. Otto trying to come around the outside of turn 3. Never mind, that's the McLaren of Matthew Bassett going around the outside of turn 3 on the Ferrari of Kalle Pulkkinen. The second Ferrari, however, is Ville Pioinen, whose name I can't pronounce very well. Dropping back to P16, but still in the pack. Meanwhile, move for P3, Givano up the inside of turn 4 on Julian Peters into that Alfa Romeo. So Peters moving down a position. Looks like everyone is onto the intermediates by the looks of it, so the rain might not be quite that heavy. And the McLaren of Matthew Bassett trying it down to the inside of turn 7, pushes Rajwell off the track just a little bit, not much grip to make moves in the rain, and now Rajwell coming under pressure from the Ferrari of Kalle Pulkkinen, who actually does try and commit to the outside of turn 9, but it's a little bit difficult to do to the two Mercedes in the background, side by side. Brandon Clark taking that position from Otto, which was not team orders by the looks of it, and an early pit stop for Harrison Holmes as well, so his weekend just going from bad to worse. That was a major wheel spin, and a little dart to the outside for Giovanni allows Julian Peters through. Is Panos going to be able to take advantage of this? He's just going to be a little too far back heading into turn 3. Can I finally have a break in the action so I can bring up the track map? And we can bring up the tires as well. So everyone indeed on the intermediates. Now, Otto fighting it out with... I don't think it was Otto actually fighting it out with anyone. Looks like the two Ferraris are getting together. Oh, yes. Let's see. Kalle Pulkkinen dropped down quite a few positions. So now behind his teammate Elvila Piroinen. And up ahead, we're watching the battle between Gaillard and Debeck. Around the outside, tries to back a little too much speed on the inside for Gaillard, and a big shunt to the Aston Martin, keeping him around the outside of turn 7. Might allow his teammate through, but that's not quite going to happen. So fortunately, not being pushed off into the gravel there was Debeck in the Aston Martin. Very, very close call there. A little shaky trying to go side by side through some corners. That's difficult enough to do in the dry, that much more in the wet. But Torres still leading us away. We have, I keep forgetting, Daniel Markovic in the Haas in P2. Bassett trying to make his way past the Williams of Christian. El Matadore. He has been preferred to be called, who is ghosted and I don't believe is actually here anymore. Yes, he is indeed saying that his game has crashed. The two Mercedeses are still fighting it out. Clark still ahead of Otto, who is trying to go around the outside of turn 4, but I think he's going to back out of this one. Smart to do. Meanwhile, top 2 starting to run away with it. Actually, Julian Peters dropping outside of a second of the cars ahead. Of course, there's no DRS in the rain, but that's just something you want to keep up with the cars ahead. You want to keep within that 1 second. Giovanni a second away from Peters as well, leading a little train with Panos and Matthew Bassett in that McLaren. And then it's pretty much everyone holding station behind Rajwell, the two Mercedes fighting each other behind the Red Bull. We'll see if they can finally work together and get past Rajwell. Would probably be beneficial for the two of them. And now it is El Matadore who is getting passed by the Ferrari of Ville Piroinen. And next up will be Gaillard trying to get past him as well. Take a quick look to the front of the field, see if we're going to see any side-by-side action heading into turn 3. A dive down the inside for Matthew Bassett. Panos is, tried for a switchback a little bit there, but Bassett had it. Matthew Bassett had it covered, and I get to send an invite to someone who really likes to change his name. Unek, it will be on... Do I have this person added? Or am I slightly blind? I might not have this person added because I don't see him on my list. Well, that is just no fun, is it? We'll make sure I don't have added. Okie dokie. We will see if we can get back to that in just a moment. Yellow flag for the Mercedes of Otto on the exit of turn 10. Did that happen with his teammate? It is a possibility. We saw how hard they were racing each other. So anyway, Otto dropping back to P15. The two Ferraris, actually, nope, that is Kalle Pulkkinen getting past the McLaren of Gaillard, who is trying to keep it on the inside through for turn 4. Not quite able to do that. Finally, Brandon Clark having a run at the Red Bull ahead of him of Rajwell. But Rajwell having the inside covered. Can Clark find a bit of a switchback? He's going to be putting himself to the outside line for turn 6, but he might just have enough of his car ahead to command the corner. Not quite able to, but he's still ahead through turn 6, and he's going to have the outside once again for 7. Can he keep his Mercedes in there? Rajwell gives him just enough space. I'll accept that friend request in just a moment because the Mercedes now is finally going to get the inside of a corner, and he's going to be able to make that move stick. Rajwell getting pushed off track just a little bit there and gets a time penalty for that he'll be a little upset about with the stewards. And now I can finally add my friend here. Back to the lobby, my friend. Where are you? I think I need to refresh my friends list for that to work because we love this game. We get to take another look through the friends list once again. Oh no, am I stupid? Am I blind? Where is my man? Where is my friend? Oh, I do believe I am both stupid and blind, actually. Because I just added this guy, and now he does not show up. And we are missing some action out on track. Oh, where is he? I just added him. We all saw it. We all saw it. I just added him. Where is he? Where is he? Come on. Come on. He's not here. Come on. One more refresh. I know he's here. He's got to be here. He sent me the friend request. He's got to be online too. Else he wouldn't have been able to send it. Oh, for goodness sake. Well, this is a bit annoying, isn't it? I don't like to keep people waiting for invites here. I can't just not invite him, but what is going on? I can't find him. Okay, hold on. Okay. Back to the action for just a little bit. Carlos Torres still leading from the Haas of Daniel. Matthew Bassett has got past Julian Peters, who I believe was in P3. So Bassett up through the field. Giovanni is on the rear, right on the rear of the Alfa Romeo this time around. So Julian Peters maybe not feeling extremely comfortable in the rain. Panos right at the tail of this little train. Are we going to see a move up into turn 1? No, we are not. Now Brandon Clark heads up this train. Both him and Piroinen got past the Red Bull of Rajwell and the other Ferrari of Kalapulkinen, trying to make his way past as well. Are we going to see a dive up to turn 3? We're going to see 2 dives up to turn 3. In fact, as both Ferraris trying to take the inside from a Mercedes and a Red Bull, seems like up ahead, Ville is trying to get the best of that Mercedes. Looks like the one we're on board with right now. Kalapulkinen had to dump a lot of battery to keep the inside for turn 4, and he's going to be trying this again, giving lots of room to the outside to Rajwell, but that Ferrari is going to have the position side by side still between Ville Piroinen and Brandon Clark, and I think Piroinen is going to back out of this one. Okay, we get to look through the friend's request once again and see if this guy shows up. Yay! I invited him. We did it, friends. We did the thing. Alright, Gaillard got past Rajwell as well, who is sinking through the field like a stone. And fortunately, despite being gone for that long amount of time, my friend is still ahead of Harrison Holmes and right on the back of Matthew Wrightson as well. So, up ahead, Carlos Torres not able to break away from Daniel, and Matthew Bassett is starting to catch them. He's just outside of a second, but we saw that Julian Peters was outside of a second for just a little bit, but he's gotten passed by Bassett, Giovanni, and Panos. So dropping through the field like a stone. Bassett, however, rising up like a very light stone that floats on water. Styrofoam, could we say. There we go. There's something that floats. Oh, a huge moment for Daniel there. Can we see Matthew Bassett take advantage of this and dive down the inside? He's dumping his battery into turn 9, but he's just going to be that little bit too far back. Not close enough for a dive, but he is going to be close enough to pressure that Haas. Doesn't have much battery to work with at all, and of course, can't really tell how much battery the other person's working with either. Because of the rain lights that are have priority over the ERS regen light. So Torres, this is what he needed, finally able to get himself a bit of a gap behind himself. Rajwal, has he lost it on the pit straight? It looks like he has. I'm gonna, here, can we cut to him real quick? Does he have a front wing? No, he does not. Okay, good confirmation there. And Bassett is trying to get himself all over the Haas of Daniel up ahead, but I don't think he's going to be close enough on this occasion either. And now the two Ferraris running 8 and 9, Ville ahead of Kala. And it's going to be Piero and then trying to get himself past Clark. And he's just going to keep behind that Mercedes for now. So we will keep a look. Oh, Rajawal. Yellow flags once again, just letting people pass, not getting in the way without that front wing. Very sportsmanlike from Rajawal. And now, actually, that Ferrari getting very, very close to the rear of Brandon Clark. We'll hop on board with Ville real quick. Now we'll watch the track map, see if there's anything else going to be happening. But Piroinen looking in a prime position to get past Clark. But he's going to be just a bit far back this time around by the looks of it. Oh, it looks like he might have a good exit out of turn 1. Side by side? Yeah, side by side between Bassett and Daniel. The McLaren just having to stick behind real quick, and he's not going to let... He is not going to let that Haas stay ahead of him. He's going to dive it down the inside into turn 4. Daniel does not defend the inside, but he does turn in far too early as there is a car on his inside. Just a little bit of wheel banging there. No real contact or damage being done, and that is Matthew Bassett up into second place. And he's got 1.3 seconds to catch to Carlos Torres, but it is lap 11 of 12, which I didn't even realize we're so far into the sprint. So we're going to be coming up to the final lap here in just a moment's time. Though there's still plenty of racing going around. We're still watching Julian Peters. Can he get past Panos to get up into P5? Of course, this is still the old sprint layout, so this will determine the grid for the race as well as give points for the top 8. Currently, P8 being occupied by Piroinen, who has his teammate right behind him, who's probably not going to be pressuring him too much for that position. But if Piroinen can do something to get both Ferraris past Brandon Clark, then maybe that would be something interesting to watch. Harrison Holmes gets a time penalty for track limits, but he's down in P14, so that's not going to change a whole lot anyway. And now Daniel in the Haas trying to make his way a Hail Mary dive down the inside and drives into the side pod of Matthew Bassett, just enough to get him off of the apex of the corner. And now the camera does not want to follow anyone, and I think Daniel... oh, well, that might have been an interesting... Oh, goodness! Was that some contact, or is that just wheel spin for Matthew Bassett as they do make contact? And Daniel's around. Givano collected in that one. Panos coming up to the scene of the accident. Both cars going to be ghosted. And Panos put a lot of faith in the ghosting mechanism there. And now on the grass was that. 3 wide for just a moment for Julian Peters. Up into P4 all of a sudden. And now Daniel being demoted all the way down to P5. Givano couldn't take advantage of that at all. Really unlucky to get collected by that one. And that is the end of the sprint race. Oh my goodness. All right. Carlos Torres. Didn't really have to mention him too much this sprint race. He got pole. He led every lap in the sprint, I'm pretty sure. Pretty much every lap in the sprint. And he finished on the top step. Wonderful job, Carlos Torres. He got the win. Don't think anyone's going to be disputing that one, but there's going to be a lot of disputes further down the field. And fortunately, or unfortunately for our stewards, we get to reset the grid and go again. So We all know how chaotic Austria can be. We are looking forward to it. We'll get the quick race director in case anyone wants to appeal a track limits penalty. Just looking out for my people here in ERO. And that is a lot of warnings for there being only 12 laps in that race. But Torres winning from Bassett, Panos in P3. Daniel managed to get P4 as Julian Peters had a penalty, I believe. P5 for him. Clark P6. Ville Piorainen in P7, rounding out the points is Gaillard in P8. Kalle Polkinen P9, Givano finishing in 10th, Otto 11th, 12th going to Debeck, 13th to Christian, 14th to Harrison Holmes, Matthew Wrightson in 15th, and rounding us out is Rajuel, who retired in the pit lane with some damage. And that will round us out. So, oh, it's still raining for the feature race. Fun, fun, fun. So, what will we look forward to? We'll look forward to some very high degradation on the intermediates as per usual. It does make me wonder, are we going to see the rain let up at any time? Is this full wets? I think that's still intermediates by the looks of it. Looks the same amount of rain as the sprint. So there's going to be a little bit more strategy as the race is longer. Of course, the feature race being longer than the sprint race. So some pit stops are in order even if the rain doesn't let up and even if there aren't any safety cars, which was a bit of a miracle in the sprint. We will see how they fare in the feature. So if I remind myself of the front grid, it's Torres ahead of the McLaren of Bassett. Yes, I do believe that's the case. We got Peters in there and Daniel in the Haas. And the Ferraris lining up close to each other as well. 3 lights, 4 and 5 lights are on. And it's a bit of a long hold once again, but we are underway for the second time in Austria, this time for the feature race. Torres once again going to be leading us into turn 1. Daniel looking to make up a position on the Aston Martin of Panos, who gets pushed wide by the Mercedes of Brandon Clark. Rejoins behind Julian Peters in the Alfa Romeo, so a terrible start. Oh no, that was Clark getting passed by the Alfa Romeo of Julian Peters, who is now trying to go around the outside of Panos into turn 3. And there's so much contact, just about 4 wide in the background. The Ferrari of, the Ferrari of Kalle Polkinen involved in that one, getting half spun and slowed down by quite a bit. However, Daniel in the Haas able to make his way past Carlos Torres for the lead of the race. And around the outside is Julian Peters trying to make his way past a couple of people, gets himself to P5. Now Ville Piorainen trying to make his way. Let's see, he got past Brandon Clark already on the inside of turn 6. Beautiful move there. Gaillard fighting it out with Clark. Side by side they go through 7 and 8, and they're going to keep it side by side through turn 9. Let's see if they can keep this one clean. And Clark's going to have the inside of the corner. A little difficult to go side by side there. Rajuel once again, unfortunately, bringing out some yellow flags. He might have damage once again, but Carlos Torres finally showing a bit of a crack in the armor, as he's not leading a lap this time around. Further down the field, Harrison Holmes trying to make his way past around the outside of turn 1 of Gaillard, and he's just about getting that move done. Debeck is going to try and follow him through as well, get past the McLaren of Gaillard. Heading into turn 3 we go. Gaillard has some clear track ahead of him, can break that a little bit later, so they're going to keep it side by side. Oh, Gaillard's going to fight this one out as best as he can, but he eventually just has to pull... Debeck has to pull into the slipstream of Gaillard, and now tries to slingshot his way down the inside through turn 4. That's Debeck up ahead of Gaillard this time around. We'll hop on board with Givano and watch this battle, as they're going to be going side by side heading into turn 6. And that is, once again, Debeck having to pull into the slipstream, and that is Gaillard up into P9. So a long and hard-fought battle. And Givano's just inching that little bit closer. But as Debeck down to P10. All right. Daniel still leads us through into lap 3. Torres right behind Bassett in 3rd place. Panos keeping in 4th. Piorainen in 5th. And Julian Peters P6 has Brandon Clark for company, and Harrison Holmes making a bit of a charge up the field in the early couple of laps in P8. And the Ferrari of Ville Piroinen not waiting around, trying to go down the inside of turn 3 of Panos into the Aston Martin. Space given on the outside, but Panos still gives up that position, and that is Ville up into P4. So a very nice move there, nice and clean move up into turn 3 in the rain in Austria. So who would have guessed that that could happen? More fighting going on with Debec. This time he got passed by Giovanno, and it's Otto on his rear, trying to make his way past the Aston Martin, but it's a little difficult to go side by side through 6 and 7. So he will just have to wait this one out. I'm seeing how... Oh, wow, way off the track. Oh, and collecting the Williams of... let's see. Oh, collecting the Williams of Christian, and only finds himself, Debec, that being, off the track. So a moment... in between 6 and 7 by the looks of it. I think he was already through 6, but could be wrong about that one, of course. Julian Peters, we'll hop on board with him real quick. He's got the Aston Martin of Panos right ahead of him as they head through turn 1. Looks like everyone's starting to kind of spread out, but they're still all within touching distance of each other. Oh, up ahead, side by side between Bassett and Torres now. So Torres had a great sprint race, but all of a sudden starting to come under pressure from everybody else. 1.1 seconds separating himself and the race leader of Daniel. Down the inside goes Bassett, though. And, Torres going to be trying for a switchback. It's possible to do through turn 4. However, you give yourself the outside of turn 6 and you just have to relegate the position. Unless you can switch it to the inside once again through 6, but a little difficult to do 2 in a row. So, that's Torres down to P3. And of course, it's Ville, who's been charging through the field himself. Going to be trying to get his way up into P3 from 4th. And I am... my voice is starting to die out on me already because we had such an exciting sprint race. So I apologize for that. But we'll keep going. It is worth mentioning, however, that the train from just about P2 now, I think Daniel's really done enough to warrant himself broken away from the rest of the field, but from the McLaren of Matthew Bassett in P2 to the Mercedes, I do believe that is Otto in P11. Is this train just not stopping? No brakes anywhere, and I'm trying to keep up with all the action. So it's Ville Piroinen, and he's going to try stick his nose in the inside of turn 4 and commits to the outside. Sorry, sticks his nose to the outside of turn 4 and commits to the outside, but not able to make the move around the outside of turn 4 if you're not ahead. Further back there was some fighting, but I'm not entirely certain who or even when it was. So there's plenty going on for sure. But we'll keep it with Piroinen right now. So he's on the back of the Alpine of Torres, who's starting to drop away just that little bit from Bassett. But Piroinen has used a good deal of his battery. We'll bring up the telemetry here real quick. Torres being a little conservative on his. Oh, Bassett has a lot to play with. And of course, Daniel probably really hasn't been needing to use a whole lot. So Ville, with some early pushing, is starting to run out of battery just that little bit. Not out yet by any means, but running a little lower than his rivals around him. Alright, first lap this feature race that we're not going to be seeing side-by-side action through turn 3, so good job everyone, nice and clean. So now it's a bit of a waiting game, isn't it? Because everyone's going to be on the same strategy. It's not like anyone is on any different tires. Is anyone on any different tires? I should check myself. Yep, there we go. Everyone's on the same tires. No reason to keep that graphic up, really. So, get that away. So everyone on the same tires, everyone running about the same pace, everyone maybe on similar setups. I think there's probably going to be a lot of difference in setups between some people in the wet more so than in the dry. But Peter's on the rear of Panos, and he's dumping his battery. He's going to try and get past up into turn 1, but just doesn't get a good enough exit, or Panos just has a good enough straight line speed, but he's wide through turn 1, and that's going to be a huge opportunity for Julian Peters finally to get past someone. And he is up into P5. Panos down to 6 after that mistake at turn 1. So, like I was saying, just a bit of a waiting game. Everyone's on the same strategy. Just need to force some errors from the people ahead of you. Because it's not like you have DRS either. So, not going to be seeing a whole lot of a swapping of positions through the first 3 DRS zones. Down the inside, Giovanni goes on Harrison Holmes, who tries to squeeze his opponent to the apex, but doesn't quite do that. And Giovanni is up into P8 now. Holmes relegated down to 9th. Through turns 6 and 7 we go. Just take... Oh, someone was off. Brandon Clark! Just saw in the corner of my screen as I switched to someone that Brandon Clark in the Mercedes lost the rear heading through turns 7 and 8. So that is him all the way down to P13 and missing an end plate on the right side. So he will be pitting for that. Very, very unlucky. Actually, now that I look, the rain is letting up. It's not currently raining by the looks of it. We'll hop on board. I know I have a lot of that stuff turned off so I can see better, but yeah, okay. Rain has stopped. Track is by no means dry yet, but we are going to be drying up. Giovanni and Holmes still fighting it out through turn 3, but Holmes not able to make his way past. So sometime soon we will see some dry tires. Actually, does Clark want to take the gamble since he's stopping already? He's on to new intermediates. Okay. So not dry enough to go onto slicks quite yet, even for an early stop like Clark has to do for his front wing. It really puts him on the back foot on terms of strategy, though. Needs to hope for a safety car. That'll be his only saving grace. Julian Peters is putting Ville Piroinen under pressure as the top 3 are finally starting to break away from the rest of the field. These two have broken away from Panos into the pit lane. Into the pit lane? Comes the Williams of Christian. Is he going on slicks? We'll have to see. Does he have a front wing prepared? Did he get some damage somewhere that I didn't see? I'm very, very curious about this one. He's mediums. He's going on to mediums. All right, so early pit stop for mediums. I think the track looks pretty wet for mediums, though, but it's only gonna get better. It's only gonna be drying up for him. So, anyway. Julian Peters did get past Ville Piroinen. I do believe Peters was behind the Ferrari at one point, and now he is ahead. And Panos is in the background just a little bit. Has his own fights to worry about. He's got Giovanni right behind him, who has cleared Holmes and is looking to get past the Red Bull now. Further up the field, is Bassett going to be looking for a move sometime soon? He's getting closer to the Haas up ahead of Daniel. And are we going to see any more pit stops? Any more Hail Marys onto slicks? I think it's going to be too early for a lap or two yet. Although into the pit lane goes the Ferrari of Kalle Pulkkinen. So pitting from 11th, not much to lose, as he was behind the train anyway. So we'll have to see where he comes out in relation to the Williams that's in 14th, Christian. Because Christian has that extra lap of slick tire running, and if the slicks are faster, he will probably be past Kalle Pulkkinen, but that is most certainly not the case. So as he comes through turn 1, Brandon Clark sets the fastest lap time of the race. What is that on, actually? We will put the... Oh, not that one. The tire detail on now. Roger Wall on mediums as well, but gets passed by Brandon Clark on the intermediates. So we might be nearing the switchover point, if I had to guess. But I don't think the leaders are going to be in anytime soon. Although, Daniel is showing himself into the pit lane. Alright, so I was completely wrong about that. Ah, the track still looks really wet for slicks, though. But that's going to be Matthew Bassett inheriting the lead of the race. Torres is in as well. Very interesting. I do believe the Alfa Romeo staying out of Julian Peters. And I think most people, Peters and everyone behind him, probably going to be waiting 1, maybe 2 more laps until they go in and put on the slick tires. What compound everyone goes for is going to be the next question. Lap 11 of 36, so the mediums are going to be a bit of a stretch, I'd have to say. The hards aren't going to feel super great, but they'll at least have a little bit of life in them at the end. Givano and Ville now fighting it out for P3. That's Givano showing his nose to the inside of turn 4. DRS enabled, and that's how you know the track is drying up. It still looks pretty shiny and wet, though, if I had to say, but yeah, that's definitely going to be dry within a lap or two, so I think everyone's going to have to come in as soon as they possibly can. Givano swoops around the outside to consolidate his position ahead of Ville Piroinen, and now Panos is going to be the next one trying to follow the Red Bull through and past the Ferrari. And into the pit lane, I think we're going to be seeing everyone who is still on the Inters. And indeed, everyone diving on in. Is anyone going to be trying to stay out? No. So, Daniel was in a lap early. It's virtual safety car. Oh, this is huge. This is huge for everyone pitting right now. I was going to say that that Daniel in the Haas is going to be emerging with everyone out of the pit lane. But this is huge, full safety car even. And the leaders are not going to catch it. So who was that? That was the Williams. That was the Williams of Christian. Off at turn 7, by the looks of it. All right, so Matthew Bassa able to keep the lead of the race after the pit stop cycles. An incredibly unlucky virtual safety car into a full safety car for Daniel in the Haas here. Was leading the race, was in a lap early just to see if he could get anything. Is that Ferrari stationary? He was for a moment. Anyway, but Matthew Bassett keeps the lead of the race. Julian Peters able to profit off of that one as well. And then it's Ville Piroinen in the Ferrari ahead of Daniel, who's going to have ever so slightly older medium tires than everyone else, but that's not going to make too much of a difference. Givano opted for the hard compound of tires, Panos on the mediums. Oops, that was the wrong button. Panos on the mediums, and then it is hard tires for Torres, Holmes, and Gaillard. Kalapolkinen on some mediums. Brandon Clark is still on the Inters. Did he not have an opportunity to pit yet? I wonder. He did have to pit early for the Inters to change his front wing, but he's got to come in at this point. Yeah, the track is very, very dry. And dives into the pit commit line. So he'll be dropping, he will be dropping to last, won't he? That is really, really unfortunate. But fortunately for him, he will be on the tail of the safety car train, and he won't be super far away from the rest of the cars, because he did have that that incident through turn 8. But able to catch up to the back of the field at least is least he could do. So, first break in the action since qualifying. We have 13 more laps to go on lap 13, so we're halfway through the race. And the safety car is probably going to have another lap, so we'll be restarting at the tail end of lap 14, heading into 15, I would assume. So I think that means, since there's a little bit less than half of the race left to go, that the mediums are going to be pretty good. We're not going to be nearing the crossover point until the end of the race. And I think the hards are going to have enough wear of their own that they will not really be all that much better. That is my guess. So everyone on the medium is a little more aggressive for them. They're not going to be feeling too great by the end of the race. Of course, if you're expecting another safety car, excuse me, I was just seeing Otto shoot up through the field, but he's into the pit lane, off the mediums and onto the hards. So that is an interesting call by him. Are we thinking that the mediums aren't going to last the rest of the race? That is the question. Wait a minute. Oh, we're not halfway through the race, are we? No. I don't know how to do math. Okay. Because we were on lap 13, and another 13 would have been 26. Not 36. Okay, I carried a 1 where I shouldn't have. All right, so we are just under halfway through the race then. That means the hards are going to be better. There we go. All right, your commentator might not be the greatest strategist or mathematician. So, all right, Otto does form up to the back of the safety car queue, and the safety car is called in this lap in the middle of sector 2. So giving everyone plenty of time to react to that one. And that means Bassett can even have a quick safety car restart and do whatever he wants in terms of strats. And that one, he doesn't have to slow down too much to let the safety car in the pit lane. So, we are on board with Julian Peters. And we will be awaiting Matthew Bassett to lead us to green. Is it better to be on or off board for a safety car restart? I think on board, and then we'll go back off board. So an early restart for Matthew Bassett. Didn't actually catch Peters napping a whole lot. Just needed to react to the McLaren going. And we are back underway once again. And the Haas here, actually, of Daniel looking pretty close to Ville already. But not finding anything through turn 1. Huge break in the field for Matthew Wrightson in P10. Already holding up some cars behind him, and Givano, without the greatest restart through turn 1, is starting to break away from the rest of the group as well. And that is Julian Peters coming under pressure from Ville Piiroinen. On the inside of turn 3 went the Ferrari, and he's going to try and keep the inside through turn 4. We're watching on board with Daniel here in the Haas. And he's got, oh wow, that was a bit of an aggressive maneuver. Trying to take whatever gap he could through turn 4, was not able to do so. However, it looks like, yes, Peters has been able to get himself back past Piiroinen. So, lovely move through turn 6 and 7 there. And that is, that's Peters back up into P2, but they cannot lose DRS of the leader if any of them want to win the race, and we're seeing 3 wide and a huge contact between Harrison Holmes and Panos Nikolaidis on the middle of turn 9, by the looks of it. Those two coming together and spinning each other around. We will see if there's going to be any damage for them, as they will be into the pit lane next lap around. Although I think they would have been able to dive in this lap, so I don't think there's going to be any damage. Carlos Torres, meanwhile, is trying to make his way up the inside of Givano, and doesn't really commit to the late braking. Is he thinking that he's going to have DRS? Because he's not. But anyway, DRS will be enabled next lap. Or does he just really want the slipstream? He's not been able to make anything of it if that's what he wanted. Bassett still leads, this time from Peters and Piiroinen in P3. Daniel in the Haas, our ex-race leader in P4, looking to make up some positions after the safety car cycle, and the pit stop cycles already has almost 2 seconds to Givano behind him. So the top 4 breaking away very, very early on the restart, which is exactly what they want to do. Except I'm sure Matthew Bassett wants a 2-second lead over Julian Peters in P2 if he could have his way. But now we are on slick tires and a dry track and fresh compounds for everybody. So it does bring into question what are the setups for everyone, because they were able to change them between the sprint and the feature race. If they were able to go onto well, instead, if they wanted to go onto dry compound, or a dry setup, in order to take advantage of the end of the race, or if they wanted to maybe make a lead at the beginning of it, I think most people are going to be on a dry setup, if I had to guess. So just watching some action between Wrightson and Kalapulkinen. Givano gets a 3-second time penalty. What are the penalties looking like? We'll hop on board with Peters as we investigate this one. Not the gap. We want the penalties. 3 seconds for everyone who has them, as Givano, Torres, Gaillard, and down in P13, Harrison Holmes. So, a bit interesting, because if the race were to end right now, Matthew Wrightson would actually get quite a few positions. He would go from P8 to P5. And I'm assuming there's only going to be more track limits penalties as the track grippens up and everyone can push at full speed through the track. They're going to be pushing, oh, just that little bit too hard. Speaking of pushing a little bit too hard, right into the side pod of Kalle Pulkkinen. And Pulkkinen keeps that position. Rajawal was on the inside of all of that action. Can he perhaps get himself past the Ferrari? He's going to take a dive down the inside of turn 4. I'm seeing what's on the timing tower. Don't worry, I'll get to that in just a second. But we're seeing some side-by-side action between Rajawal and Kalle Pulkkinen. And I think, oh, Rajawal swooping around the outside, though. He's carried a lot of speed. Rajawal, look at that! Around the outside of turn 6. Didn't think that one would work, but my goodness, he's got himself past Kalle Pulkkinen. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, Julian Peters takes the lead of the race from Matthew Bassett and the other Ferrari of Villapuro, and then going to be trying to follow the Alfa Romeo through. My goodness, the closing speed was tremendous on this one. Harrison Holmes has retired, and that is a full safety car. Where has he retired? Did they immediately get rid of his car? Because I looked at the map immediately, and it wasn't there. There's not a Haas stationary anywhere. What? My goodness. And Harrison Holmes says, remove my seat in F1 chat. So, not entirely happy about something. All right, safety car number 2. This time around, it's Julian Peters leading the field. Now, do the medium runners want to go onto mediums again for the end of the race? Or do they just want to kind of not use their mediums too much through the safety car? It's a bit of an interesting strategy call. We'll see, because there's only 7 laps on the mediums right now. So they're going to be feeling okay, but they're going to be dying off sometime soon. So surely they have to take this opportunity to pit. And indeed, showing the pit lane. He is pitting. Okay. He did cross the white line to do so. So Peters, I'm not reporting anything. I'm just speaking facts. Pretty sure he crossed the white line, but was showing that he went in, faked himself going out. Brandon Clark, everyone's into the pit lane. Is Panos out? Panos is out. Panos, is he going to take the lead of the race? I think he will. Panos into the lead of the race. 8-lap-old medium tires for him. And some people are on softs. Excuse me. Brandon Clark retired in the pit lane mid-safety car? Panos overtook the safety car, and he's disqualified. That's really unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. He had something good going there, and now he has been disqualified. Rip Panos. Wait, he was typing an F1 chat this whole time. Did his AI pass the safety car? Because I don't think he was controlling his car, because I'm watching an argument go down in F1 chat right now, and he's in it. I think his AI just passed the safety car, unless he took control of his AI, and it just coasted past the safety car, and he had no idea what was going on. I am wondering how Brandon Clark retired. Did he manually retire? I'm just watching some conversations in the chat. This is a funny race. Sometimes there's races that you want to be in as a commentator, and this one is not one of them. This one is one you want to watch, because this is just funny. Clark's saying his game went onto a black screen, and now he's retired. Panos is typing. I want to see what Panos says. Safety car's going to be out for another lap. Don't worry, we're not restarting quite yet. There's some... Okay, actually, let's take a look at the strategies. So there's some hards up at the front. Daniel has gone for the soft tires, and I don't think that's a very good strategy call. I really don't. Yeah. I mean, he's going to have way, way, way more grip than everyone up ahead of him. My voice is cracking so much today. That's really not something you want as a commentator. But anyway, he's going to have a lot more grip than everyone ahead of him, so he could get himself up into the lead of the race and maybe break away. And if there's yet another safety car, then he might be able to get himself into a good position. But he needs everything to go right for the soft strategy to work at the moment. I think mediums are the tire of choice right now. If I had to take a guess, new mediums for That's still like 15 laps though. That's not bad. That's not bad for mediums around Austria, right? It's a short track. So 15 laps is reasonable for mediums to go, not at all reasonable for softs to go, and hards might be a pretty good call in all honesty. So anyway, Julian Peters is going to be leading us to green from Matthew Bassett, a bit backwards from last time, and Peters goes even earlier than Bassett did last safety car restart. Didn't catch Bassett napping, but did catch Ville Puroinen napping, and even more so Daniel in the Haas there. Givano as well, and there's some kerfuffleage happening at the back with Otto getting past Matthew Wrightson and having to let him back through. That's a really unfortunate thing to have happen on a safety car restart. But anyway, 4/10 the gap between Peters and Bassett now, and they have just under a second to Puroinen, who is coming under pressure from Daniel in the Haas. He's got those soft tires, so he's going to have a lot of pace in them as well. So up into third place goes Daniel. Is Puroinen actually going to fight this one through turn 4? No, he's going to be too far back for this one. Not enough grip either. So Bassett on the rear of Julian Peters this time around. I'm starting to lose it. I'm not going to lie. But we've got a few more laps to go. So, we'll lock in. We'll stay focused. Side by side between Rajuel and Kalle Pulkkinen. Oh, these two have been racing each other quite a bit. And they have a little bit of wheel banging, and Rajuel is ahead this time around up into P8. Race still being led by Julian Peters. Bassett still in P2. So half a second between the top two and Daniel here in the Haas. So I just want to see how quickly is Daniel going to be able to catch the front of the field. It's like a weird line through turn 3. Did Puroinen stick his nose where it didn't belong, I wonder? I don't think we're going to be seeing any moves from the Haas this time around into turn 4. Givano and Ville Puroinen. Givano up ahead. Ville has the tire advantage, mediums versus hards, so Givano gets himself up into P4 now. And that relieves some pressure from the rear of the Haas of Daniel, though he does get himself a 3-second time penalty, which is really unfortunate for him. That will be, let's see. It'll be a pass for position between himself and Givano if that ever happens, but he's looking forward. He's looking at the overtake between himself and Bassett. He's got his front wing up ahead, but Bassett does not want to let him through. Covers the inside, but there's going to be so much more grip for the exit for the Haas of Daniel. Opts for the outside through the charge up to turn 3, and that is Daniel up into P2. Are we going to see a dive down the inside from the McLaren of Matthew Bassett? Yes, we are. There's going to be some extra grip. I think Daniel tried to go for a bit of a switchback, but Givano was already committed to the inside. So that's Daniel losing a position to a hard runner. Dives it down the inside very late once again. I think that one was a little more reasonable. And up into P2, excuse me. And Bassett's still trying to fight this one out, but he's got to concede that position now. Does not have the grip to fight him through turns 6 and 7. And Givano, all the while, smells blood in the water, but isn't quite able to take a bite out of that McLaren. And now just about a second between P1 and 2. But Peters is not going to be running away with this one, because Daniel's still going to be using the softs to his advantage. 5 laps on them though already. A couple of them will be under safety car, so I think the softs are still going to be feeling pretty fresh. But going to be losing grip all the while. Meanwhile, we have a pass between... Oh, we have a fight... Oh, what in the world has happened here? What happened here? Well, that's our race leader. Down to P7 now. Julian Peters falling afoul of some incident. And look at that gaggle of cars heading through turn 4. I wish I could go off board for this, but I can't. I physically am not able to. Okay, so Daniel inherits the lead of the race after whatever in the world just happened. Trying to push the McLaren onto the gravel doesn't quite do that, but he still keeps the position. Bassett in the McLaren in P2, Givano in P3, Torres P4 now, Vili Piroinen in P5, and all the way down to P6 is Julian Peters, and not much battery either. Has Gaillard right behind him. So something major just happened, and I was not looking at it. So I do apologize for that one. A little unfortunate on our part. But we do get to see the downfall of Daniel now, because his softs are going to be giving up the ghost pretty soon. And down the inside of turn 3 goes Matthew Bassett, and Givano has Carlos Torres on his inside, but Givano in P3. Quite commandingly so, and Daniel trying to throw it down the inside of turn 4 once again, has that move. Bassett, once again, people trying to go for a switchback while someone is already committed to the inside. It's unfortunate. There's really nothing to be said as far as the stewards are going to be concerned, but you just kind of hate to see it, because you see the switchback, and you see that you can probably do it, and you go for it, and you realize, oh, I've just tapped someone's front wing with my rear, and, well, you have to back out of that one. It's just a bit clumsy, a lot of time loss. Not much you can do about it, honestly. But anyway, Daniel's still in the lead. Brown Bassett. Givano in P3. Having a pretty good race for himself. Let's look at how many places he's gone up. 7. So he started in P10. And he's managed to get his way up into the podium positions. Does have that penalty looming over his head. So Bassett is in a very good position, because he is the only one in the top 7 to not have a penalty, which is pretty huge. So just needs to keep within touching distance of everyone around it. Oh my goodness me. You okay, I think Bassett was definitely on the inside there, and Daniel did not care and just just tried to take the apex anyway. And now trying for a switchback through turn 6. Oh, a bit of a tap from the front wing to the rear wheels. You see that coming from a mile away, and you just, as a spectator, you cringe just that little bit. You know what's about to happen, but fortunately, Daniel was able to keep his has pointed the right direction. While these two are fighting, Givano is still, I mean, blood in the water, but not able to take a bite. He's just kind of sitting back. Bassett has so much battery to play with, too. The momentum has really shifted Bassett's way, because he can just make everyone lose time, and then once he can finally execute that overtake, Daniel's not gonna have anything to fight with. Breaks very early to try to get the DRS. He did, but he's not got much to fight with to turn 4. Is he gonna get past Bassett though? Givano on the inside gets past 1, gets to the inside of turn 4, locks up the front. Givano had the double overtake, but he's not gonna be able to get it, unfortunately. Oh, he spied a great move, though. Kudos to him. That got my heart beating. Givano almost had that one. And just look at how much time Daniel's losing on those soft tires now. They are done and dusted already compared to the hards and the mediums. So the top 2 are going to be running away with this one, unless Torres can really make some huge move happen. But whoever wants to win the race has to both pass Matthew Bassett, which is not going to be easy because he's on some pretty good tires, and he's a fast driver, man. You just can't get past him that easy, and you need to clear him by 3 seconds. So anything short of absolutely straight lining the guy is going to be too little, too late to win the race for yourself. Meanwhile, we're going 3 wide through turn 3. Daniel in the middle to the inside is Vili Piroinen, and now contact between our 2 X-Race leaders. Oh, Julian Peters and Daniel both involved in that one. Peters going to have some damage to his front wing as well as his ego. Givano is into the lead of the race. When did that happen? There's so much happening now. All of a sudden, lap 29 of 36. So there's 7 laps left to go. Givano has gotten past Matthew Bassett. Has that 3-second time penalty. And I would retire if I were Julian Peters as well. However, I would not deliberately bring out a safety car if I were him. And that is exactly what he did. And once again, I'm not reporting anyone. I'm just speaking the facts. So Givano and Bassett were already past pit entry, and that means that some people like Torres were able to get in, and ooh, softs for 6 laps. I think that's a good call. Yeah, because look, 10 laps, 13 laps on all of the tires ahead of them. That's looking pretty good. Otto, however, is not on a strategy that I agree with. 10-lap-old softs around Austria are not going to be feeling very good, and he was definitely not past pit entry when the safety car came out. Not sure what the strat was there from him, I have to say. Not my favorite one. Givano and Bassett were already past the safety car entry. Fortunately for them, they did not actually catch the safety car. They did get past the safety car, so they will be able to pit and not lose that much time. Actually, Otto might only drop behind Kalapolkin and Rajuel. Maybe, because that's quite a gap to Ville Piirainen. Might or might not be the case. Otto's got to come in. Okay, so he does come in. Bassett is in. Givano stays out? No, surely not. No, he sees everyone else pitting for the soft tires. You can't just not do that. Oh, Givano's going to lose so many positions. I mean, he was looking, you know, for a P2, maybe P3. I know he's maybe not like... I'm not going to say he's slow, but he wasn't showing like the greatest pace. But my friend... I mean, just look at the tire graphic. He's going to be losing so many positions. Oh, we might see safety car number 4 if someone gets a little too aggressive with him. This is safety car number 3, right? Yes, it is. Okay. So Givano inherits the lead of the race. He has Bassett right behind him, and of course he's going to be losing that position on penalties anyway. And he's going to be losing the position on tires. I don't agree. I don't agree with the strategy call. I want to know what his mindset is for this. I'm not saying he's stupid, I'm just saying I think everyone was like-minded. Anyway, you know what? Givano could be cooking. Let's see what happens. He could get a really good safety car restart, catch Matthew Bassett off guard. Matthew has to go for a really aggressive dive down the inside of turn 1, and that's enough for Givano to take the apex. And oh, is he pitting now? Oh, my friend. He should have pitted before. See, now he's gonna emerge last. He's got to. Well, at least he'll be able to take advantage of any chaos. Maybe cutting his losses a little bit there. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not going to be judgmental. I'm just calling it how it is. All right. Bassett inherits the lead of the race. Ville Piirainen right behind him with a penalty. Otto... How Otto got up into P3, I'm not entirely certain, because I think he stayed out and then went in the next lap, and somehow that got him positions. I'm very confused on how that one happened. But Otto's up into P3 without a penalty, so he's looking at a net P2 on this one. Torres is right behind him. If Torres gets past Otto, he's got to clear him by 3 seconds. So it's looking pretty good for an Otto podium at the moment. Kalapolkinen, P5. Rajuel in 6th place. Gaillard in P7 with a penalty. Daniel in P8 with a penalty. And not looking very good for the guy who is racing for the win of the race. Matthew Wrightson in P9 without a penalty, so that's great for him. And Givano emerges from the pit lane, rounding out the top 10 and the last of the points finishers with a penalty. It's not looking good for Givano after this pit stop cycle. We will hop on board with the Ville Piirainen. We've seen very early safety car restarts so far. Is Bassett going to do the same thing he did before, or is he going to go a little bit later? What is the call going to be? I think Piirainen needs to be ready for anything, really. I think he's going to be, because he was here for the early restart beforehand when Bassett was leading. So I think he'll be ready for an early start. Ooh, okay. That's a bit of a gap. It's a bit of a gap, but I think that's respectable. That's just reaction times. All right then. lap 33 of 36. I didn't realize we were so late into the race already. All right, so there's 3 laps left to go and all to play for. So we're going to see some incredible aggression. Bassett has a half-second lead over Piroinen in P2. I don't think Piroinen's really going to be pushing for that P1 spot. Just needs to get himself away from Otto and away from his teammate, actually. Going to be the next one without a penalty. Side by side, Gaillard and Daniel. Daniel getting that position through turn 3, up into P7 now. Wrightson might be looking for an interesting move down into turn 4. Thinks better of it. Can we see any more close gaps throughout the field? Everyone's spread out very, very quickly, which is usually not what you see on a full soft safety car restart, but here we are. Keeps it nice and organized for everyone. Wrightson gives up the position to Givano, who's up now into P9 before penalties. Now, what Bassett really needs to do is just not get a track limits penalty, because he's got pretty much nothing to gain now by going... did he just go off the track there? He might have just had a pixel of one of his tires still on the track. Anyway, so Piroinen's probably going to grow larger and larger in his mirror as, yeah, he's already down to 16% battery, but Bassett does not really care because he knows he's not going to clear him by 3 seconds, so not going to fight the Ferrari too hard. Just needs to stay ahead of Otto, because Otto's still keeping within touching distance of everyone up ahead, so he's in a net P2 right now, and he's actually got a pretty good gap to Carlos Torres behind unless he can find something to push with on the final couple of laps. He's saving some battery. It's good to be conservative with battery when you're in this position. So Torres, but he can't make a pass on Otto. He can, however, get himself away from Kalapulkinen, who is already down to 3% battery. So that's a very bad position to get yourself in. Not much battery near the end of a race after a safety car restart like this, especially with penalties about. So Bassett still leads. We're going to have DRS for a couple more laps, and then we'll be seeing the checkered flag pretty soon. I'm just seeing that Red Bull get very close to the McLaren of Gaillard. So Givano looking for a pass. He got a very good exit out of turn 1 and has that slipstream. So Givano getting past Gaillard now. He's going to be forced to the outside of turn 3. And Gaillard does not have much battery to play with either. That's a pretty good overtake there from Givano, getting the superior exit out of turn 1. And now Ville Piroinen just, I'm assuming he's going to be staying behind Bassett just to get that DRS and that slipstream. See if he can break himself away from the rest of the crowd. Is it 3 seconds between himself and his teammate, though? That's the question. No, I don't think it is. No, it's not going to be. They're still too close. But, yeah, not much battery to play with here in this Ferrari that we're riding on board with Kalapulkinen. So it could go either way, whether or not he's going to get that position from his teammate. Either way, we're going to be seeing a Ferrari podium unless something catastrophic happens. Pulkinen not having to worry much about Rajuel. Rajuel, however, definitely having to worry about what's going on behind him. Givano and Daniel fighting it out amongst themselves. That's Daniel getting past Givano now, and he's going to be looking for the Red Bull of Rajuel as well. Has the DRS, so he's going to have a lot of speed. Fakes to the outside, throws it to the inside. We all saw that one coming, but Rajuel might just have a good enough exit to keep himself ahead on track. Rajuel, of course, doesn't have the penalty, so doesn't really need to worry about this particular overtake. And he's just going to do a switchback for fun, because that was a very aggressive dive down the inside of turn 4. Who would have guessed? An aggressive dive down the inside of turn 4 from Daniel. Anyway, they're going to keep it side by side. We'll watch out for any yellow flags. I just want to look at Matthew Bassett rounding the final couple of corners to win in Austria, because that's what we're about to see. In the McLaren, rounds turn 9 and rounds turn 10, Matthew Bassett, no huge incidents, no penalties, wins the race in Austria. Ville Piroinen dropping behind his teammate. Okay, so Kalapulkinen does get P3. Otto, however, does get himself up into P2, so a beautiful result from him. Not getting any penalties in Austria does pay off quite a bit. It's a Ferrari 3 and 4 by the looks of it, and we will get the official results in just a moment's time after the podium celebration. So a wonderful race from everyone involved, and I would have to agree that Otto would be my driver of the day as well. Really brought it from out of nowhere at the end. All right. So here we are then. Results of the race. Matthew Bassett taking a very beautiful win in Austria. Otto in P2 starting 11th, so wonderful from him. Ferrari 3 and 4, Kalle Pulkkinen ahead of Ville Pyroinen. Carlos Torres in P5 for Alpine. Rajwell P6 for Red Bull, good result from him as well. Daniel, not the best race today, P7 for him. Wrightson P8 for AlphaTauri. Guyard P9 for McLaren, and Giovano 10th for Red Bull. I think everyone else retired if I remember correctly. And we'll grab the race director and see if anyone wants to object to some of their track limits penalties. Once again, lots of warnings, as is per usual in the Red Bull Ring. So, a wonderful weekend full of action all the way through. Next week, I'm going to bring up the calendar real quick. Where are we going to find ourselves in the world? If I can find the calendar channel, that would be wonderful. It's up here just a little bit. We are heading to Monaco next week, so that's going to be interesting. We can hardly go side by side in Austria, even though the track's nice and wide. So Monaco, that's going to be a very, very fun race. So we will see you then next week, same time, same channel. See you then.